Let's review it. Theme. Power Standard 3. Determining theme and central idea. Now, we already know central idea is pretty much where you determine the overall message or topic that an author is talking about in an informational text. And in central idea regarding informational text, you typically want to look at the title, you want to look at repeated words or phrases, and you want to look at supporting details, aka textual evidence that the author uses to support that main idea that's presented in the title or the very first paragraph or first sentence of the first paragraph. Theme is a little harder to grasp because we're dealing with a lot of different elements. So the first thing you need to understand about theme is it's an underlining central idea or message that runs through the work of a literature. Remember, it's the insight the author wants to give you. Now, once again, let's reflect. Plot and characters are the top two ways in which an author develops or emerges theme. Also, an author can use things such as symbolism and motifs to also convey a theme. So let's look at the movie The Fellowship of the Ring. That's the first Lord of the Rings. So the author's message to the reader is that for human beings, death is both a gift and a curse. Another message the author wants you to know about theme, it's friends can support each other, but ultimately life's journey must be traveled alone. So it's talking about friendship. So that's one topic. Another topic the Fellowship of the Ring talks about is free will. The author's message to the reader is that free will does exist, so a person's choices shape the future. And then absolute power can corrupt even the noblest individuals. So greed or power would be another topic, and the author's message for that is absolute power can corrupt even the most noblest individuals. So let's read the summary of William Golding's Lord of the Flies and try to determine the theme. After a group of boys are marooned on an uninhabited island by a plane in crash, they are forced to survive without the help of adults. First thing I see is uninhabited. I can see the prefix un. I know that means not or opposite. So it's not inhabited. Inhabited, so it's an abandoned island. At first, they managed to establish their own functioning society by appointing a leader and forming groups with varying tasks. Some boys hunt or forage, while others work to keep a fire burning that will hopefully signal a rescue mission. But as time goes on, rifts begin to develop between members of the group. Soon, the boys turn against one another, and some even revert to savagery, attacking or killing weaker members of the group. When a rescue team finally arrives, they find a group of boys that have devolved into utter chaos. Which statement best describes the theme of The Lord of the Flies? So first, we have adolescence. That's one topic. We have leadership. Looks like we have power. We have weak versus strong. So those are different topics that this passage is talking about. So which statement best describes the theme of The Lord of the Flies? So, to answer this question, I would want to use my sentence starter. The author's message to the reader is that, flying in airplanes is dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. I'm going to eliminate that one. The author's message to the reader is children can survive alone in the wilderness just as well as adults can. Well, we clearly see that that's not what happens. So now I've eliminated 3 and 4 or C and D. Let's give you a hint. So, read each choice carefully and decide which follows the general plot of the novel. Because remember, authors use plot and characters to develop the theme. So, which theme is most developed by the plot or of the story? Very good. If you chose A, you chose correctly. So as I just said, plot along with characters can help develop a theme. The authors use plot to convey or emerge the theme for you. Remember, theme is never directly stated. The events in the story and the resolution can convey the author's ultimate message or insight. So, let's look at the following summary of the short story, The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, to see how this plot supports this theme. It's dangerous to conform to the traditions of society without question. So first thing I noticed, a piece of evidence that supports this theme, is occasionally someone mentions the possibility of ending the lottery for good, but it is quickly laughed off. Here's another plot element that supports. It's been a tradition for too long to simply give it up now. Most people go along with it each year regardless of their personal feelings. So there are two lies within the first paragraph that support this insight into life that the author, Shirley Jackson, is giving you. Characters definitely support the theme. In my opinion, I say characters develop the theme more so than the plot. But intermingling plot and characters, those are the two that most develop a theme. So Captain Ahab, a character in the novel Moby Dick, was attacked by a white whale and lost his leg. Consider how the following scene, in which Ahab convinces his crew to help him seek revenge on the whale, reveals the author's message through characterization. And characterization is just the way the author gives you information about the character, which we're going to learn about in our next power standard. So, which best states the theme that is developed by Ahab's character in the passage above? The author's message to the reader is that wealth should always be treated with kindness? No. Revenge is a rage-fueled pursuit that only can completely consume a person? Possibly. Is the author's message to the reader based on Ahab? The ability to forgive is an important human trait. Or when seeking revenge, it is always important to gain the support of your friends. I'm thinking the most insight based on the Ahab character is between B and D. Choose. Here's a hint. If you said B, you are exactly correct. Great job. Here we go. Read this text and then answer the question below. The next thing the author uses is symbolism to convey the theme. Remember, symbolism is where you have an idea you have a literal idea that's represented from something not tangible, not touchable. So consider how the deer uses symbolism. Sitting in her cramped room at the strict boarding school, Andrea struggled to write the first sentence of her final exam paper. Ooh, we've just recently experienced that. It was all she had left, the final steps in her arduous journey through school, but now sitting in front of a blank notebook, no words were coming to her. She had never been so frustrated. Rising and looking out the window, she caught sight of a deer. The deer raised its head and for a single, their eyes locked. Then the deer darted across the yard, clearing the picket fence in one graceful leap. Before Andrea could sit back down, the deer had vanished from. She thought of the deer. She returned to her paper with renewed energy. So the deer basically was in the yard, the picket fence yard, and jumped over the picket fence. So the deer was conveying freedom. All right, so match each theme with the symbol most likely to convey that theme. And these are the correct answers. A caged bird best symbolizes oppression or prison. So anything that's caged is oppression or prison. Anything that's dead, like wilted, is lost love. A troubled past, that's a ghost, because a ghost typically has a problem letting go of the past. A soaring bird, anything soaring or flying or jumping over something that they were once caged in, that's symbolizing freedom. And these are just common symbolism phrases that you should be able to begin to put to memory so you can have them. A new beginning after a period of hardship, a storm that's passing. If I talked about just a storm, that would just be hardship. So, read the passage below, then answer the question. Go. If you chose A, you chose the correct answer. Because even though its situation feels grim and depressing, the budding leaf represents something that is about to change. It's growing. So it was just a seed, and now it's starting to boil, to grow into a leaf. So that represents change, and that eventually that change will be for the better. All right, great job. You've completed the video. Go ahead and go to the next activity. See you later.